Hello. Hi. Can you guys hear me?
Hi, Jit.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, nice. You guys can hear me. That's good. Okay, so um today I'm just gonna talk about more of the mental side of sports and like in athletic performance. So it's like how to take control of the mental aspect in sports. Ooh, ooh. So who am I? I graduated from ICS, which I think some of you guys are from. I was class of 2018, graduated UBC, Bachelor of Human Kinetics and minor in psychology. And after that, I've gotten into coaching. So I've coached the varsity girls basketball and volleyball teams at ICS, as well as the U12 girls volleyball, U14 boys basketball, and U16 boys basketball. So you guys might be wondering, why are we talking about are we talking about mental side of sports, right? Isn't sports just mainly physical and all that? But I believe that the psychological aspect of sports is quite overlooked and not focused on when it comes to sports. And I believe that since most of you guys are young, you have a lot more time to overcome obstacles and grow as athletes. And so I believe that these psychological and mental aspects that I'm going to talk about today will be able to be transferable to not just your athletic performance, but everyday life. So um, I want to first talk about, I want to first give you guys a case study, and then we'll come back to this later. So Jay is a great attacking player in soccer. During practice sessions, drills and scrimmages are not very challenging, and he dominates. However, when it comes to competitive games, there's less success, and in those matches, he commits uncharacteristic mistakes and loses confidence. And not only that, but it also affects his defensive effort. So I want you guys to keep that in mind while we go through this presentation and think of some things that are what might be going on in his mind, and then we'll talk about this afterwards at the end. So first of all, let's go through mindset. So what's mindset? Um, a mindset is a set of beliefs that shape how you make sense of the world and yourself. And so in psychology, there's two mindsets. There's the fixed and the growth mindset. So in the fixed mindset, your belief is that all skills are static. So everything is the way it is already. And growth mindset is the belief that all skills can be developed. So in a fixed mindset, person with this belief thinks that everything is fixed and cannot be changed. So it leads to a desire to look smart and to show off. So if there are challenges, they tend to avoid them or give up easily. Effort is seen as fruitless or bad. They're not able to take criticism or feedback and feel threatened by the success of others. And as a result of that, you can plateau early and achieve less than your full potential. However, with a growth mindset, people with this believe that all things can be developed. So they embrace challenges and persist when results stall or there are setbacks. They see effort as important and can lead to mastery of skills. They learn from criticism and feedback and are able to take away and learn from others' success. And as a result, they can achieve more than they thought. And so I think a very good quote that kind of embraces failure and showing a growth mindset is this one by Michael Jordan, which says, I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games, 26 times. I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I failed over and over and over again in my life, and that is why I succeed. And so I think this is a very, very powerful quote. And so how do we build a growth mindset? First of all, I think it's to embrace challenges. So we should view them as opportunities rather than obstacles. So all challenges are a chance to grow and learn, whether you succeed or not. And by tackling more challenges, you build resilience and confidence. Second is to celebrate effort and not just success. I think this is pretty hard for us to do as athletes, as most of the time it's either win or lose. But sometimes it isn't always about the outcome, right? For me, I think it is important to enjoy the process as there are many things that you can take away from it, even if you didn't achieve the result you wanted. And I think it's also very important to try finding the small victories every step of the way. Third would be to stay curious. Always be willing to learn, as everything you learn and take in can help you grow. And the fourth is to prioritize learning over approval. As you know, it is sometimes hard to believe that not knowing something might make you look less smart than others, but that isn't the case. I think there are always positive takeaways from every experience, and having this perspective of being able to learn and fail can reduce the fear of judgment from others and allow you to branch out into other fields. And so another aspect of this would be self-efficacy and locus of control. So self-efficacy is the strength of your belief in your ability to meet the challenges ahead of us and complete a task successfully. So this is another concept that can affect your mindset. And then the locus of control is the belief of how much control a person has over their life. And then it's on a scale between internal and external. So what's the difference between those two? People with internal locus of control take responsibility for their actions and believe that they are in control of what happens to them. So they end up having more confidence. People with external locus of control often blame outside factors for what happens. So they frequently feel hopeless or powerless in difficult situations. So I think for you athletes, it is important that having an internal locus of control, which leads to taking more responsibility for their performance and working to improve their skill rather than blaming outside factors, is very important. A strong internal locus of control can then lead to a stronger sense of self-efficacy and your belief in whether you are able to um, meet your challenges ahead. It uh, also leads to higher motivation, and you're better able to cope with tougher situations as you believe that you can change the outcome. So, for example, if you believe things are out of your control, right? You lose the game and you blame other people, you blame the rest of your teammates for what happened instead of yourself. Realistically, you aren't really, there's not much reflection. You think that you've done right, and then you think you put the blame on other people. That's not really a chance for you to grow. Instead, you are kind of in that fixed mindset where you don't take responsibility. You think that it's other people's fault, so you do not take criticism, and you feel threatened because, oh, other people have done better than me. And so I think this quote by Henry Ford, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And so I think this is really important, whether on being able to believe that you can do things. If having ex When you have an external locus of control, the belief isn't whether you can do it, it's the belief that other people or other things, outside factors, are controlling what you do. So whether you try or not, it really isn't your fault, or the result isn't based on you, but everything else. So how do you improve self-efficacy? I think the best way is to set smart goals. And so for a coach in my position, I always urge my players to set goals, whether it's games or practices. I believe goals are very, very important. And my mindset is once you have focused on goals for a period of time, they turn into good habits, which then allow you to grow more because you're able to work on other facets and set other goals to improve the rest of your game. And I think with goals, it does help with being able to reflect and think positively about what what you've done, what you've performed, and being able to um, judge and create better goals afterwards as well. So, what is confidence? Dictionary says it is a feeling or consciousness of one's power or reliance on one's circumstances. However, I think for me, when it comes to sports, I would say confidence is the belief in your own ability to rise to any challenge, regardless of the outcome. And so, what are some factors that can affect confidence? Preparation. Preparation, there's pressure, and there's the environment. I think all of these factors can either be productive or unproductive. And I prefer using these terms rather than positive or negative, as our perceptions are really determines what they are, right? I don't think it's things can not seem too well, but if you perceive it as a learning experience and grow and be able to some learning, take some lessons from that, I believe that even if it is a negative experience, you can turn it into a positive one. So I really believe that our mindset can affect how we think of different scenarios. So for preparation, what can we do? So having solid preparation improves our knowledge. So for athletes, it would be going through film or plays, being able to understand where you are and how to implement what you've practiced. Practice is working on improving skills and applying gradual pressure so that you are ready to, and you're prepared for what is to come during games. And I think for me, I think of practice as putting in the work to be in the best position to succeed. And with good preparation, you have more control. And that also talks about like the locus of control, right? So if you are well prepared, you are more able to take responsibility for what happens. But if you don't practice, you aren't prepared, a lot of times your mindset could then turn into, oh, something else happens, oh, outside factors happen. So that's why we lost, rather than being able to take accountability for what's happened. And the last is visualization. I think mental imagery to improve motor learning is very good and is also used in rehabilitative settings too. As the same part of the brain is activated when we visualize actions. And with visualization, we're able to manage expectations and emotions, and it can help reduce anxiety and increase the sense of control. And so what else can affect confidence? Pressure. And pressure can manifest physically, mentally, and or emotionally. So some pressures put on yourself is expectations, and some past experiences can also affect your confidence. So if you have done well before, you would be more confident focusing on yourself and your ability. And the next is your environment. So your support system is the people around you and those you interact with. And so how does that affect confidence? If you do have a weak support system where people are being negative, there's always blame being thrown around. There's a lot less confidence, a lot less belief in yourself. And so for me as a coach, I think the best way to build a strong support system is to be the first one to support. So whether it is whether you're dealing with tough times or whatsoever, I believe that it is important for you to be the one to step up and be positive, bring the teammates up, and be the foundation for the team. And in a way that will lead to a stronger support system being built around you as a team. And um, and social media also can affect your confidence, as social media can present idealized and unrealistic expectations and can also lead to a lot of comparison. And then that may affect your sense of worth or ability. And so I think for me, it is best to not take everything you see on social media too deep in your heart. Do not let that affect you that much. As I think the most important thing is to focus on yourself and your own ability. And so the last is emotion. And emotion is a natural instinctive state of mind derived from one's circumstances, mood, or relationship with others. And so I think in a team, it is very positivity is very powerful as it can lead to higher energy levels, better stress management and coping skills, and provide a stronger support system. And so there's this method in cognitive behavioral therapy. It's called ABC. And so A is the activating event. So something negative can happen. B is the belief or the explanation we create for why some event occurred. And C is the consequence or the feelings or behaviors in response to your belief. So I believe that in sports, it is this kind of thinking. It can be healthy and constructive, or it can also be unhealthy and destructive. So I think a lot of times when playing in sports, it's important to reflect and reframe our thinking on behaviors and being able to go through this thinking of, oh, if something bad happens, and what are my thoughts about it? If you do have a growth mindset, you would take these challenges or a negative event happening and be able to spin it into something that you are able to use as fuel for positivity. But if you have a fixed mindset or so, you feel like that's a setback, you feel like that's a challenge, and then you shy away from it, it becomes unhealthy and or destructive. And so I think in sports, it's important to understand our two kinds of motivation. There's the extrinsic and the intrinsic. So the extrinsic is the what. So it focuses on our rewards or to avoid punishment. And I believe that this is not the healthiest as it is more of a short-term mindset. It can lead to less creativity and limited performance. However, I think intrinsic motivation is what leads you to become a greater and more driven athlete as it focuses on the why. So why do I want to do it? Why do I want to grow? Why do I want to master this skill? And it will lead to empowerment, independence, and creativity. And so here I've added a bit more. So if you can read the case study, and then I would want to see if you guys could figure out any of the issues and like put in the chat. So let's try to go through this with the case study of Jay. Okay, Jane, is it like he's not mentally ready? Yes, I think that is one of the problems as it says, during practices, drills and scrimmages are not challenging and he dominates. So I think that is a sign of a fixed mindset where he does well in his comfort zone, but when it does come to competitive games, he's not able to perform as well. So yeah, that's one. Does anybody else have any or see any other issues with Jay? Let's see. Sorry, Lucy, um, don't understand. I'm not too clear by what you said. Is it possible you could clear that up for me? Yeah, and so he is more comfortable in practice. So what kind of mindset do you think he's going in with? Practice is easy for him, but when it comes to games, it gets difficult, and then that affects his effort and affects everything else. Is this a sign of a fixed mindset or a growth mindset? Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think this is a pretty clear example of a fixed mindset. And not only that, but it also creates a negative environment. As you see, he gets mad and screams at his teammates as he believes they were the reason for the loss. So that is also creating a negative environment, bad support system, but it also shows that he has a more external locus of control, right? He doesn't believe that his effort would have changed anything, so he doesn't defend as well, and he blames other people for the result rather than looking into himself and reflecting and trying to better himself. Okay, so yeah, here for my takeaways from this, I just want to emphasize that you as athletes can always grow and improve, and to use every opportunity as a learning experience. And last but not least, but to stay positive and have fun. Thank you.
Thanks so much for that presentation, Arthur. We're gonna open the floor to some Q&As, and like before, you can do it unmuted or in the chat. Thank you.
Hi, Arthur. I have a question. Usually I play basketball, and in late game scenarios, especially when the game is tight, I tend to try to, like do less and try to like give my teammates the ball more because I'm scared of making mistakes. So how do you think I can improve on that?
Well, I think yeah, it is tough, I think, even with my experience as a student athlete, I used to be very scared of situations where I think, oh, if I make a mistake, then the rest of the team suffers, and I'm scared of doing that. So I think it is um so in some ways that you can work on that, I believe is in practice to be able to apply gradual pressure. So like being able to work under pressure isn't something that you either have or you haven't, right? It's something that you can train and you can work on. And so I think the best way is to apply during practices, right? Have drills and things that test you, whether it's time, skill. So if it is in basketball, right? Like I would do drills where you have a certain amount of time to make a move or shoot, or you have to reach a certain amount of shots within this time and stuff like that. I think focusing on those are very important. But I also think So like this skill of visualization, I think is very helpful for you as well, just to be mentally prepared for what things will happen. Right. So if late games, if you are used to having, oh, the team knows that you are a very great, very good player, so they start doubling you. You have to be prepared for that. And so I think visualization can and is a very important skill for you that can help you prepare and also, yeah, working on your training and applying gradual pressure.
Hi, Jit. So I have a question. Um, and it's kind of like I'm just asking for some insight onto this, but I feel like sometimes like after I have like a sports competition, whether it's basketball or whatever, I feel like if the outcome is like not what I preferred, sometimes like I'll like kind of like I won't say it out loud, but like sometimes in my mind I'll kind of just put the blame on like other things, like uncontrollable things for me, like the environment or like I don't know, like injury or something. So I was thinking like if you had any tips onto how I could kind of fix my mindset, to be more like growth oriented so that, I can kind of grow in the way that I want to instead of just thinking like all the problems are not my fault.
Yeah, I definitely had that issue when I was a student as well. It's always something where I feel like I look at a lot of other people's mistakes, but then I kind of overlook my own, right? So I think it is very important to be able to reflect and also go through, like if you have competitions that are filmed or whatsoever, it isn't, I think it is very helpful to just go through and watch it back, being able to um, take and learn, see what you've done well, see what you haven't, being able to set goals afterwards is very important. But also, when you are in that moment, I think it's very important to stay positive. And although it is hard, I don't think, I think it's important to understand that not one single play will affect the outcome. So I think everything, right? I think the outcome of the game always is the buildup of everything that's happened. So whether you do miss for example, if you miss the game-winning shot, right? I tend to think of it as that is quite that's tough to handle and deal with. But at the same time, a lot of the mindset is if the game came down to that one last shot, perhaps, then that means we had a lot of other chances throughout the game to have won it at that point. And so I think it's to always be able to take and be aware of the results that happened, but not to take it too personal and not to have it affect you too much, right? A lot of athletes that say never too high and never too low, right? You can have sometimes things go well, you can be happy, but you don't want to be too happy, right? Because when things go bad and you go all the way down negative, it is very taxing on your mentally and physically. And so I think a lot of it is understanding, like being able to celebrate or like understand and be able to take in the small goals and taking positives along the way of the game. So if you only focus on the very end result, you do overlook a lot of things that has happened. I think so. It is very important to just be able to enjoy the game and also take away being able to be happy with, oh, I've done like oh, my team has done very well. We put out a lot of effort and being able to take that away rather than just the result of, hey, I've lost. I hope that answers your question.
We can have like one final question before we wrap up. Yeah. In the chat, there's one question that says, how do you think a team can work together to improve their mindset?
Okay, that's a very good question. I think with a team, it is quite hard because it is a lot. You are trying to deal with a lot of different people that may have different upbringings, different mindsets, different thinking. And so I think, like I said, I think the best way to build a foundation is for you to be that foundation first. So if you do want your team to improve their mindset, be more positive, be able to grow, I think it's important to step out and be the first one. And I think it does show a lot of confidence and self-belief. And once people do see that, they are they would be more willing to step out as well. And also think it's a lot of understanding that um, really able to find the positives in every step of the way. So I think if your team is very um, extrinsically motivated, where you only care about, oh, if we win, then we're happy, but if we if we lose, then like, oh, I don't want to talk to you, oh, nothing matters anymore whatsoever, then that is hard to bond as a team and grow and improve your mindset together. So I think a lot of it is if you are able to share your mindset or your motivation and be able to show that through your actions and through your talking as well, right? Your drive and why you want to do it, rather than oh, just saying oh because I want to win this game, I want to do this. I think being able to show and share your motivations with others can also help benefit and improve their mindset as well.
Oh wait, we have one more
Yeah,
question.
yep, I got
Yeah,
it.
last one, yeah.
How do you balance the focus of on physical training with mental conditioning in your coaching approach? I with coaching, I find that especially with ICS, in my experience, I feel like the practices are a bit short and there's it's hard to handle like spacing and everything. And so I do, right, I think this is a very important it's quite a long process. It's not something that you can just say, hey, you know, I wanna I wanna be able to handle pressure and then I talk to you for 10 minutes and then all of a sudden you are Michael Jordan. No, that's not how that happens. So I think it is quite a long process, but I think with my coaching approach, it is important to be genuine and show that you care, be able to talk with your athletes and kind of build a strong relationship and understanding what they do on and off the court. And I think with the physical training in coaching, it's very important to understand your personnel, right? I do believe that a coach's job is to um, best utilize the talent and skill available. And so for me as a coach, it isn't it's very hard to just say, oh, I have this process and it works, so it will work for everybody. Because I do know that people vary in skill, people vary in like their physical attributes, whether they're tall, fast, all that stuff. And so I think it's very hard to just focus on having this one specific play style or one way of coaching. Rather, it is also understanding your players' personnel, understanding their strengths, and best utilizing them within the team.
Okay, thank you so much for your sharing. If you we're really grateful for your time, and I'm sure we're all super like we've learned a lot about our mental like preparation for games, and we're super thankful. We're gonna share screen if this is a QR code that you can scan if you need a certificate of participation or yeah.
So thank you everyone for tuning in. And this marks the end of the webinar. So yeah, again, if you want the certificate of participation, you can scan the code. But other than that, thank you for joining and yeah, bye.
Thank you, everybody.